What's going on, guys? ETH here, welcome to the channel. And today I want to have a little discussion and just sort of bring up a question of how Atari is actually successfully reviving themselves in the video game industry. Now, I know obviously I made a video recently about the Atari VCS. It was quite controversial amongst Atari fans because they're like, well, you don't own one, you don't know what you're talking about. And yeah, I get that. I just was comparing the Atari VCS to other systems on the markets which I was kind of competing with, like the Evercade VS. So ignore that video if you don't if you wanna watch it, find it. But yeah, I have nothing against Atari personally. So with Atari, how are they successfully reviving themselves? Well, for those who don't know, the Atari we currently have is Atari SA. Atari SA is the assets of a bunch of merged companies together. So back in the 90s, the Atari Inc. was sold to Hasbro Interactive. In 2001, Atari Interactive was spun off, and then a company called Infogrames, who's another game publisher on old retro systems, they bought this new Hasbro Interactive, and they also bought Ocean Software. Now, they then took the Atari name, and they're now what is known as Atari SA. Now, Atari SA obviously had a huge lineup of games back when it was merged, but due to financial reasons, Infogrames, well, which was what they were called at the time, had to sell several games in their library, and you can actually find some of those games on Steam, for instance, but published by Pico Interactive, because Pico's obviously bought a load of the IPs. But anyway, that's just a little bit of history for you of what this Atari is. It's not the same Atari that obviously made all the consoles and whatnot. It's just a name. It's got a load of the assets. So, right out of the way, how are they having a successful revival? Well, first of all, the Atari Recharge games actually seem to be pretty popular, right? I know I made a joke in my last video saying, "Oh, well, the Atari VCS isn't really a popular console," and I stand by that. But the Atari Recharge games are being talked about a lot. Like, I see so many people talking about them, whether they be Stadia fans, which rip Stadia. I see people on Xbox having discussions about them. I've had discussions with people on Twitter about them. Me and other YouTubers like Ever Canadian have made videos about Atari Recharge games coming to Evercade, and would that be possible? And would we like to see it? And it's just they're quite seen the Atari Recharge games seem to be successful reinventions of classic IPs from Atari, and that's actually a really major point because nowadays in gaming everyone's about remakes, reboots, and sequels. So getting some Recharge like arcade like shooters and some like, arcade like games back on modern systems with a new twist is a huge win. I mentioned Atari's also got games like Combinera, which is a brand new IP, which is just a little like an indie platformer. And to be honest, I like the way Atari's going. Atari now doesn't feel like they're a major game publisher to me. They feel more like an indie publisher. Now, indie publishers are something I prefer to major AAA publishers because indie publishers seem to sort of get the vibe of gaming more. It seems to just be like, okay, let's make a fun game, whilst bigger companies like EA are like, we need to make some money, right? Now, I'm not saying that Atari doesn't need to make money. I believe in at least the last quarter, I remember reading about they lost like $233 million. But that's what you got to do. They've changed their investments to focus on console games, so they're going to lose some money. But as those games start selling, and more people start remembering the Atari name and start realizing that Atari's putting out some good games, those games will sell, and then Atari will bring in some revenue, and Atari will be profitable, and Atari can grow. It's just business. It's just how businesses operate, right? You got to spend money to make money, as the saying goes. And with Atari as well, like Atari obviously had to sell off some IPs like Alone in the Dark. They sold that to what was known as Nordic Games at the time. Now it's known as Embracer Group. But I kind of feel like they can do more. Like Atari can just take some of their other IPs like Haunted House, make a little horror game, make like a Silent Hill horror game out of it, and it'd be great. It'd get tons of sales, tons of attention. I think a lot of people would talk about it because there are a huge number of people who are into horror games, right? So Atari making something like Haunted House into like a 3D like Silent Hill or like Alone in the Dark like horror game could potentially, and I say this potentially specifically, increase a lot of interest in Atari's names and Atari's products by getting people on YouTube to make Let's Plays of it. That's what happened with games like Amnesia Dark Descent many years ago, and I'm sure they can revive the same thing. Now, obviously, the Atari VCS is another thing. Obviously, it's $400. It's basically micro PC. If you want one, that's your choice. I ain't gonna judge you for that. And obviously, Atari's also got the Atari XP collectible cartridges for the Atari 2600. So if you still have an Atari 2600 lying around, you can still buy cartridges for it, which is actually really cool to me because that system was made in 1977. That system released like 45 years ago. It's kind of cool to see it still getting games. It's still getting, well, at least not new games, but at least getting cartridges released for that system all these years later. Now, with Atari, where do I think Atari's going to go? I think Atari is going to continue to utilize their own IPs. Make more games like, I don't know, maybe they make an Asteroids Recharge 2. Or they make, I don't know, Haunted House into a Silent Hill like car game. Please, Atari, please. Maybe they make I don't know, maybe they make a Pong game. Maybe make a new Pong game where it's like Santa Pong or something like that. I don't know, just or New Tempest or whatever. Like, come on, there's just so much stuff Atari could make. Not mention Atari could make new IPs and new platformers, new shooters. Something I'd like to see. I'd like to see Atari bring back Alien Brigade, which obviously is an Atari 7800 game. Where it's like a side, it's like a what's it? It's like a shooter where you've got to like move the joystick and like aim it. It's not like an actual first. It's sort of like a first person shooter. It's like a really early first person shooter, but you can't move it. You're like locked to the screen. You can't move around. Which, okay, bring that back. Make that a real first person shooter. That would be great. But that could compete with the likes of Doom. Atari has this really weird thing because Atari was known for starting the game industry. They popularized it. Then Atari, well, at least in the US, people refer to it as, the video game crash in '98. Personally, outside the US, we don't call it that. I've seen a lot of British YouTubers refer to it as the Atari crash or the North American video game crash because it didn't really affect Europe, it didn't really affect Asia. In fact, apparently in Japan they call it the Atari crash. So, yeah. But Atari has shown themselves to be resilient. They've bounced back. And whilst they're losing money now, they won't be losing money forever. And eventually Atari will turn profitable. And with all these new games on the market, there'll be more interest in Atari's IPs and more interest in Atari's games than ever. And Atari could potentially turn the ship around and become a major publisher again. But I hope they don't. I hope Atari focuses on like the more smaller scale games, the more scale budget titles that people want to play. Because it's alright selling a game for $70, $60, $70, but not every game's worth that. So if Atari's like, okay, we're selling Centipede Recharged for $20, fine. That's a small budget title. That's a budget title. More people will probably pick it up. It's just how it works. Anyway, guys, let me know your thoughts about this in the comments below. Do you think Atari's having a successful revival? What do you think Atari should do to continue their revival? Do you think Atari's dead? What do you think? Right, the only reason I'm saying revival in this video anyway is because, well, many game journalists and analysts keep saying that Atari is dead, or calling it zombie Atari or whatever. So, I thought I'd make a little video saying, well, they're having a successful revival. So, anyway, guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Do you think Atari's is in a successful position? Do you think they're going to take the world by storm in 2023? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. I've been EFK, I'm signing out. Peace.